Hi, my name's Wendy and I'm the editor at Sunflower Publishing. This morning, my guest is the enigmatic author of mystery, suspense and crime detection novels set in Italy, where the presence of mafia is never far behind. I am delighted to introduce to you Richard Walmsley. Now I'm going to hit the magic button and see if he's there. Here we go. Richard, are you there? Good morning, Richard. Hello. Morning, Richard. He's connected to audio, which is always good when you can hear people have a chat. Good morning, Richard. Hello. I feel like a seance. Is there anybody there? Should we all hold hands? Morning, Richard. Hello, Richard. Can you see me? Morning, Richard.
Oh, God. Can you hear me?
I can. I can't see you.
Oh, what am I not doing correctly then? Share screen.
The bit at the bottom, probably, with the video bit.
Where it says share screen, participants?
No, not share screen, just there's a little bit down the left-hand side that says about select a camera.
Oh, start video.
Okay, select a camera.
It's got a cross through it, but I've...
Right, take the cross off then. Click on that, take the cross off.
That's what I'm trying to do, but it's not doing it.
Oh.
Difficult.
We can see your name, but we can't see you.
Zoom with us. Oh, how's that? No.
No.
Oh, when it says at the top, US OS Web Zoom us wants to use your camera.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. That's the one. We should be able to see you in a minute.
And then I say allow.
Yeah, you do. Yep. Yep.
How's that?
Yes. Hello. Morning.
Oh, that's good.
Got there in the end. Buona Domenica, Richards.
Buona Domenica, anche a te.
How are you?
I am very well indeed.
Yep.
I can't seem to catch COVID. I'm still hoping for a positive result until I realised that it was the negative one that you really want.
Have you had all your vax done now, Richard?
Yeah.
God, I hope we don't have to go through all that again this winter.
I think,
Don't you? But anyway, it's so lovely to catch up with you again. I can't remember when we last spoke. It must have been, oh God, I'm sure that was before COVID when we first spoke about books. I'm not really sure.
I think it's 2 novels later, actually.
No, it's not we can say it. It's not in terms of time, just so many novels later. So how are things going with you, Richard? How are things with you and your writing?
Yes, I've taken a pause from writing the series of novels set in Abruzzo.
Okay.
Because I think I need to come back and
right.
get the feel of the place again.
Yeah.
But I'm actually ghostwriting for a couple of people at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Well, ghostwriting for one person, a young lady called Debbie who lives in Switzerland.
Right.
I'm doing her life story for her because it's quite remarkable.
Right.
And I'm in the middle of checking somebody else's novel as well.
Okay.
So I'm busy.
You are, well, that's excellent to hear. Can you just sit back a little bit from the camera then? That's better. We get more of your face rather than the top half.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes,
that's fine. It's fine. Now, for those people who don't know of you, would you just give us a brief introduction, please, Richard, and just tell us why you started writing and the inspiration behind the books?
Yes. Right, it goes back to the year 2001, January,
Yep.
where I decided to go and teach English in Puglia. Um, Eventually, I finished off my career teaching at the University of Salento, which is in Lecce.
Yeah.
And while I was waiting for lessons to begin, because they were usually in the afternoon, I started writing my autobiography, and they printed copies of it, which my Italian girlfriend, who's the turned out to be the heroine of the first novel and the second and the third, looked at it and said, "That's absolutely awful. Throw it away."
Okay.
All of the copies, she said, but
Right.
in fact, I kept one. But her parting shot at the end of this was, "Why don't you write thrillers instead?" At which I poo-pooed the idea and said, "No, I can't do that." But I did, and she became the heroine of the first novel which I wrote, which was set in Puglia, called Dancing to the Pizzica.
Yeah.
And I just, from that moment on, discovered that I could actually write novels. And I've now written 9 altogether.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them set in Puglia, and 5 of them, 5, 6, 7, 8, no, that's not right. Yes, it is 3 Puglia, and then 5 novels, 6 novels set in Abruzzo.
So, we all love them. And whenever I post something across my social media about Richard and his books, I get a really good response. And if I may, I'd like to go through some of the responses that we've had on Facebook and some questions, so that from your fans, from your loyal fans, and some of the questions that they're asking you. A lady from Abruzzo called Buzz McCarthy has said, "Oh, like the sound of these. Which book shall I start with?"
Uh, oh, you want me to tell you?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what she
yes,
wants
you
to know.
definitely start with The Case of the Sleeping Beauty,
Okay.
which to many people sounds a bit corny as a title until you realize that if you live in Abruzzo and live in Pescara, the background of the mountains looks
Yeah.
exactly like a supine lady.
Yes.
And therefore, that's how the title came about.
Yeah.
And that was set at the time of the 2009 earthquake. And I've managed to weave a story which is partly true and largely fictional into that set of circumstances.
Yeah.
And that has actually proved to be the most read book so far that I've written.
Right, that's interesting, isn't it? A lady called Carolyn. "I would love to be able to get hold of more of his books. I'm in Australia and I've only been able to obtain one here. So why aren't you printing in
Well,
Australia?"
that honestly, if that is the case, that it's entirely the fault of Amazon,
Right.
I hate to say. And if she would like to have me send her, is she living in
Okay.
Italy, in Abruzzo?
I think she was from one of the Abruzzo expat forums. Yeah.
Yes.
It just goes
So,
to show, how worldwide you are now, how international
well,
you are, Richard.
dotted about sparsely throughout the world, but yes. But I'm very, very happy to post books
Yeah.
to anybody who wants one.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
And especially in Italy.
Yeah. Wonderful. Melody, I've read 2 of these. Pretty good stuff. So that's lovely to hear. There are no bad reviews, by the way. They're all good.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Louisa, "I'd like to read these. Is it amazon.com, amazon.co.uk, or amazon.it? Where's the best place to start?"
I think certainly if you go for amazon.co or amazon.uk,
Right.
that is, say, either in England or America, you should be able to get, certainly on Kindle, but I guess we're talking about paperbacks here, are we?
She doesn't say, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know.
Definitely available on Kindle, but
Okay.
she should be able to get a printed copy.
Right.
from either UK
Or,
or from through the American,
yeah.
American.com.
Okay. Marsha, these sound really interesting. I'm going to look for these on Kindle. Linda, fantastic. I loved the two that I've already read. And a lady that I do know personally in Abruzzo says, I've just ordered The Vendetta Tree. I love reading his Abruzzo-based books. And can I please narrate some of them for him?
Yes. You mean turn them into an audio book?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I'm going to have to do that
Do
as
that.
well,
I know, I
because
know.
it's
Well,
an area of publishing.
yeah,
I love writing novels, but I
yeah.
can't stand the marketing of them.
No, well, I know that's hard. It's a different skill set, but
Yeah.
Terry, I know her personally, and she's an American lady with Italian ancestry. So
Yeah.
that, you know, I know that, and she does narrate for a living, and she keeps saying to me, I want to narrate his books, they're so
Well,
wonderful, please let me narrate them. I'll get her to send you a sample, Richard.
no, I would love her to, because if
Yes.
somebody else can do it for me, I mean, I've told that when I was a teacher, somehow I did find that my relaxing voice sent all the pupils to sleep. But,
All right.
but I no, that's an exaggeration and not true. But if there's somebody who would love to do that for me, then I'm
Yeah.
very, very happy
Yeah,
for
well,
that.
I'll put you in touch with her. So, like I say, those are the reviews that I get, the comments when I blast my social media. So, you know, people who are familiar with you, and also it's so nice to start spreading the word, isn't it, really? And
Yeah,
what I wanted to lead into that is that, you know, you've now what, 9 books, 10 books, and they're all self-published, which, you know, there aren't many authors as successful as you that that have gone down the self-publishing route. So I wanted to talk to you about that because you seem to be doing quite well from it, and I know you don't like the marketing. So talk to me about that. Would you like to be published? Where do you want to go with this?
the trouble is finding a literary agent which will actually read the books properly.
Yeah.
And I think I've not given up, because I've now devised a new method of approaching literary agents
Okay.
in London, where I'm not going to go through the usual process that they say, which means you send about 3 chapters off to a literary
Yeah.
agent,
Yeah.
and then they probably don't bother reading them at all.
Yeah.
And you get this letter 3 months later saying, your books are very interesting. I'm afraid they're not for us, but I'm sure you'll find another publisher, blah, blah, blah. And I've just given up on that because it's so disheartening and
Yes.
time
It
consuming.
is. It
And
is. It's incredibly
it's
hard
time.
now for, I
Yeah.
think, anybody getting into the publishing.
Yes.
But you know,
Whereas I'm
you
not
are doing
doing,
well. You are a great advocate and, you know, ambassador for the self-publishing route because you're doing really well with it.
I'm doing, yes, it's sales are steady. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
they're spectacular, but
No.
I, I sometimes get 1, 2, or even 3 a day,
Yeah.
but it still amounts to hundreds rather than thousands.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, I mean, in a way, I would like to find a literary agent, because
Yeah.
then there's a good chance they'd be published. But
Yeah.
then I lose control
I
of
know.
everything.
I know. You know, we talked about this on our writing retreat in Abruzzo. It's a double-edged sword here, isn't it?
It
I
is.
know. We had a lovely lady, Angela Petch, that came to talk to us, and she's published. But like she said, you know, I don't get to choose the titles. I don't get to choose the covers. I don't
That's
get
right.
to choose a great lot. I'm just commissioned, and it's quite factory production line-ish, and it's commercial. And you know, at the moment you're self-publishing, so you're in control. I get that completely. I really do.
I mean, the nicest thing that's happened, you know this, I'm sure, because you've got either the Death is Buried or the
Yeah,
Vendetta book, haven't you?
yeah,
And those two covers plus the Vanishing Physicist
yeah,
have been designed or redesigned
yeah.
by my own granddaughter, who's now
Yes,
18,
yes,
and
yeah,
it's her covers which are
yeah.
on the books, and that
Which
gives
is
me a lot of
lovely.
pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if they're not perhaps commercially quite as good as they could be, but they're still good.
Yeah.
And
I
set
mean,
them up.
whenever I'm, you know, doing your books, and I will be working my way through all of your books, hopefully in the next year or so, to, you
Yeah,
know, to get them out there. I mean, I've probably got 3, 4. I mean, well, I do all of them: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. So when I put something out there across my social media
yeah,
channels, you know, I mean, I can just get out there to maybe 4 or 5,000 people in an instant,
yeah,
and you can see the power of that
yeah.
immediately. You can see the power of that.
Yeah, I would like to thank you at this juncture actually
Well,
for all you're doing,
it's
because it has bumped up sales
yeah,
very much.
yeah,
Certainly in Abruzzo,
yeah,
or even in America, I think
yeah,
that I have a feeling because of the timing of it that people are probably Abruzzo lovers,
yes,
and they picked up the book titles even
yeah,
in America.
yeah, absolutely.
Would you believe The Vanishing Physicist? That has become certainly the second bestseller, and
Yeah.
especially in the States,
Yeah, amazing, amazing.
which is
And then we've got
intriguing.
loads, you know, we do have in Italy, well, as you know, I mean, we've got Americans and
Yeah,
people from Europe, you know, that they're absolutely everywhere. So it's, I mean, anybody that loves Italy and loves these books, and
yeah,
you know, it's getting it out there, and it's an absolute pleasure because I love the books. And I'm going to move slowly on to one of the subjects that I know we've spoken about before, and that is Montalbano. And I know Amazon do not like it when anyone puts in their on their Amazon sort of synopsis blurb,
yeah.
you know, if you like this book, you will like
Uh,
Richard's book. And they don't like that because it's really not good. It doesn't work very well in their search engines. You know, they don't like it. However, for readers, for example, you know, if you have a book and you see on the blurb and it says at the bottom, if you like Frances May's Under the Tuscan Sun, then this book is for you. It's a reference
yes,
point for the reader. So we instantly think, oh, well, I like that book, so I will like this one.
yeah,
It's brilliant. And I have used this reference with yours. If you like, you know, the enigmatic Montalbano, then you will like Richard's book.
yes.
And it certainly works as a way to market it.
I feel no loyalty to Amazon whatsoever. So please
So
carry on.
easy.
They
So,
are a means of selling books, and that's it.
you know, so I do use it when I've spoken to people because I like Montalbano. I've never come across anybody that didn't. And because everybody has read those and they've watched those videos, you know, and you think, well, there is something else that if you like that, you're going to like this. And they go, oh, wow, really? Wow.
Add a little interesting point that Andrea Camilleri started writing Montalbano books when he was 69.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't know that.
And that is exactly the age I was when I started writing
Yeah.
novels set in Italy.
Well,
So
it's
pure coincidence.
amazing.
On purpose.
So I wanted to mention that because I do use that. And I also wanted to mention, as we've talked about Montalbano, you do say, because the novels are set in Italy, where the presence of mafia is never far away. And I think many people, whether they're English, European, American, they do have we have this fascination for mafia. We can't get our head around it. And you talk a lot about mafia. You know, it's there in the books. Do you have any first-hand experience of mafia?
Yes, it's in the first book, actually. I mean, several little anecdotal things. Because when I was living in Puglia, in a very small village, I learned of a mayor in a neighboring village called Ugento, who was actually assassinated by the mafia clan down there,
Right.
presumably because he had refused some abusive building request. And when I was walking through my village, I knew that there was this guy, a house builder, who was building a whole set of new houses, because I went to look at them with a view to buying one. And I saw him once surrounded by three very suspicious looking youths to whom he was handing great wads of €50 notes, far too much for their weekly pay. And I cottoned on that was the mafia, picking up their pizza, their, yeah, there have been lots. Oh, yes, that's right. And the other one, which again is in the earlier books, because the first ones are set in Puglia. I remember driving down in a coach, being driven down in a coach from Bari airport to Bari station. And I was listening to the conversations going on around me, and we passed a kiosk which had been burnt down. And one of them said, it's because he didn't pay his pizza, which at the time was a word I didn't even know, because I thought it must be something to do with that thing you eat with tomatoes. And but afterwards I learned it was, the protection money paid to the
protection money. Yeah,
so
money.
I know. All sorts of little things. And I brought that home very much in the latest Abruzzo novel, where there's a takeover from the mafia, the 'ndrangheta, the Calabrian mafia.
Yeah, I know.
You've read that one, haven't you?
Yeah, well, we know from the first one with the Sleeping Beauty that Commissario Beppe had actually been, relocated because there were issues and something going on with the mafia. And I know in my review, you make no apology when I reviewed this one with the case of the Sleeping Beauty. The mafia groups that are involved with the corruption, the extortion, kidnapping. It's brutal stuff. It's a fact of life, and you make no apology for it in your books. And I think you actually say you can't argue with an organization that represents 3.5% of Italy's GNP, says the chief of police, referring to the violent and ruthless Calabrian mafia. And I think as non-Italians, we are quite captivated by this.
Yes.
It's almost like the old days when we had pirates, and pirates were really generally up to no good, and they were quite ruthless and evil, but there is a sense of romance.
I'm so sorry. I think my son has just turned up.
Okay.
Can I just?
Yeah, sure.
Can I leave you just for a second? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, sure. No, it's all right. It's fine. I'm just going to talk about while Richard answers the door to his son. Is he on his way back now? These things happen. It's live. So these things happen. He'll be back in a minute. Oh, here he is. Here he is.
It's all right. It wasn't him. It was an Amazon delivery of books.
Yeah, talk of the devil.
My book.
But there is a sense of romance about it all. you know, and I think we just have this fascination with mafia, and you bring that an awful lot into the books, you really do. And it's difficult for us to get our head around it, really. But as you say, it's a fact of life. I know it exists. Many of my students used to talk to me about what mafia could do. You would meet somebody behind the church at 10 o'clock at night and pay them for something. You know, I know it exists as well. And they don't make any apology for that. And that's absolutely wonderful that I think you use that in the books.
Yes.
And I think also in the books, because you've lived in Italy and you have this understanding of the infrastructure, you have this understanding of the idiosyncrasies of policemen, of daily life, of rituals, of people. And when that's brought into your books, that's amazing.
Yes. Thank you. I'm glowing with pleasure at your comments. The other thing which I noticed about Italian dramas, I mentioned it was on several years ago, called Sorelle. And
Okay.
there was another one about the mafia called The Mafia Only Kills in the Summer. La Mafia
Right.
Uccide Solo d'Estate.
Okay.
And that's the presence of children.
Right.
And so many rather stuck-up English people said, "Oh, I don't like the way the children are involved in it." And I said, "Oh, A, it's Italy, and B, children are always involved in everything." So
Yeah.
it's part of, you know, the fabric of Italian life, most definitely.
Mm.
The children play an active part, a much
Right.
more active part
Yeah.
than I think the average English family.
But you know, I suppose when you've got these mafia families which go on, you know, the children, it's part of their lives, isn't it?
Oh
Really,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
it's a force to be reckoned with, but it certainly represents a sort of fascinating element, you know. And you've said before about Italy, well, we both have. It's light and dark. It's a paradox of wonderful people and wonderful food and wonderful weather, but there is a dark side to Italy.
yes, yes. Which is what Italians say as well.
Yes, they
This is
do, don't
really,
they?
I found that it struck me very much in Puglia, more than in Abruzzo, where the mafia isn't so rife, that ordinary people live a parallel life.
Mm.
The mafia is never mentioned, never talked about,
No,
but they know it's there as if it was just a parallel existence which they had to go along in the company of.
yeah,
Extraordinary.
absolutely. The humor that you bring in is really lovely, and you know, a couple of
Thank you.
I just love them. I really do.
Yeah.
Um,
Bepe's mother, that's
I his mother is just the way Mama used to make it. It's absolutely wonderful. And if I can just quote from that, she's always phoning him. She's always interrupting him. And he doesn't really like to be interrupted when he's knee deep in a murder case. So he really invents these bizarre reasons why he's been too busy to call. You know, you don't have time to speak to the mama. You know, you could just imagine the scene, really, can't you? So he
Yeah.
invents these bizarre reasons, and she seems to believe them. Um, what case is so important to you? You can't talk to your mother on the phone. And he says, it's complicated, Mama. We have a concert pianist who lost his finger in the hotel bedroom. So we need to find it before he plays in the concert this evening. Okay. She absolutely
Yeah.
believed that, you know. And yes, Mama, I am eating regular meals, you know. And he puts the phone
Yes.
down. I mean, Richard, you just have everything in these books, really, don't you? Um, the humor is subtle, but I think everyone that's been to Italy knows that, you know, Italian mothers, you don't mess with them.
No, that's
Do you really? You know, they're
no,
absolutely
no.
wonderful, aren't they?
They they don't they wear the trousers in reality, but they never
Yeah.
say so. That's
No, they don't.
the
They
big
don't.
difference.
Um,
I've,
Go on.
if I may,
Yeah,
I've
sure. Go on.
discovered to my great delight that, first of all, my granddaughter in Australia, who designed the covers, started reading The Sleeping Beauty when she was only 13.
Right.
And she's read all of the series bar one, I think. Um, and I've discovered in this country too that even a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 13-year-old have also been reading the Abruzzo series.
Right.
So it does appeal to, shall we say, well-read children as well as to adults.
Are you still amazed at this success? I mean, when you first start to write something, you know, I don't know. I don't really write books. I just review them. I don't know much about the writing journey. I mean, do you think anyone will read this? Will anybody really like this? It must be a wonderful surprise when people do.
It is, yes. I'm beginning now to be surprised that more people don't, because I've had
Right.
so much positive feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's one lady in the village bought all 9 novels and read them in 10 days.
Wow.
Then she bought I've done a travelogue about Salento, Puglia,
Yeah.
and she bought it and then went on holiday there and went on a tour of all the restaurants and most of the places that were mentioned in the book. That was so gratifying.
That's really nice that people can identify with that. I
Yes.
mean, Beppe Stancato's the Commissario headquarters in Pescara, Pescara. You know, people have probably walked past Via Pesaro. They've probably eaten at, is it La Bilancia in Loreto that you mentioned? It's another kind of way that you can pull in your readers because they know these places. Most of us know these places. And even if we don't, we think, oh, wow, that sounds really nice. I must go look at these places. You're building a cult here, Richard. There's just no other word for this. You're going to have a cult following with these books.
I think it's taking about as long to catch on, though, as building a cathedral in the medieval time. Sometimes I feel that literally stone by stone.
I mean, we've got, so far we've got, I've done 2, A Close Encounter with Mushrooms, which again, loved, The Vanishing Physicist, that's difficult to say, isn't it? Dancing to the Pizzica, Death is Buried, which is a lovely title. The Demise of Judge Grassi. But you've also done some other stories as well. You've also done some short stories as well, haven't you?
Short stories out, yeah. I've never caught on.
What, the short stories?
I don't know, because people will not buy short stories. I mean, I've sold copies face to face, and people have said that they're lovely stories, but on Amazon, nobody seems to want short stories.
But maybe one of the published authors that we had on the writing retreat, Catherine Mezzacappa, Virgin of Florence, she's is one of hers, and she did a lovely kind of Q&A session with our guests on the importance of writing short stories. And, you know, submitting them for competitions. And we gave our guests some prompts and said, right, you know, you've got 15 minutes. And it really tests the mettle of authors. If you've got a prompt and 15 minutes to come up with some ideas for short stories, you know, maybe it's more of a competition thing. But, you know, she was saying how important it is as an author to kind of flex your writing muscles, really, because it's so tight, isn't it?
Yes. You haven't read the short story one, have you?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
You know what? I'm going to send you a book.
Yeah. Oh, I love it when you say that.
No, you deserve it.
What else was I going to ask you? Well, we've talked about going down the publishing route. Would you like to do that? Yeah, maybe. The other thing I was going to ask you about is research for the books, about how much research you actually do, how long you spend doing that before you'll sit down and write that. Because again, that's something for aspiring writers. do you just keep researching and researching and researching and never get to a point where you just have to, enough, I can't research this anymore. I need to write. Tell us about it.
I think I've relied very heavily on actually going to the places where the stories are set.
Right.
I've got folders full of papers with research for practice, but I pick and choose the bits which I think will help build the story.
Okay.
And I'm not lazy about research because I do it, but I find that I get inspiration and accuracy far more from people I've met. The dancing to the pizzica, I mean, that's really based on a relationship I have or had is true, with this girl who's called Rosaria in those novels. And everything in Dancing to the Pizzica is based on things that have happened to her and her family. So I think that's more important to me than actual internet research.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, with Leonardo's Trouble with Molecules, which is about nanotechnology, that's the background. The novel is really just a thriller about the girl who escapes from the mafia. But I spoke for something like 5 hours to this professor who is the head of nanotechnology at the University of Lecce. And without him, I would have been.
You wouldn't have known. No. So it is important. It's really important to get the research right.
Experience plus reading up the background is vital. Yes.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
You've got a website, so people can go on your website, which is richardwalmsley.com. They can't buy the books from there, can they?
Yes, they can. Yes,
you can buy books from the website. Oh, okay, right. I didn't realize. Okay. You've got a shop facility.
Just click. Straight onto Amazon.
Oh, right. Okay, that's brilliant. So people can buy the books there. I mean, as always, it's so lovely to talk to you, and I just can't wait until we can meet in Abruzzo one day.
Are you going to have another meeting in Abruzzo next summer?
Yes.
Then I absolutely
Oh, I think we've frozen a bit, really.
Any war happening, I will. So yes.
It was absolutely wonderful to have writers who are at different stages of their writing journey. And I think the intention with the writing retreat was to kind of give advice, give information. I mean, Amy from Scott Editorial did the most amazing critique sessions with the guests, which were quite brutal at first. But then it got to the point where everyone thought, this is great. I've got a captive audience talking about my books here and what they liked and what they didn't. And, and like I say, the Q&A sessions with authors showed them this is where you get to. And it's not an immediate thing. No one's going to be a writer overnight. It doesn't generally happen like that. But all the guests, when they spoke to published authors like yourself, realized how grounded these people are. There's no celebrity status. There's no, we were talking to several of them, and they were just sort of saying that, look at all these books behind me that I've written. I can't believe these are all my books. It's a very unassuming, grounded thing, isn't it? Really, you still can't believe it yourself.
No, that's true. No, it's extraordinary. But I swear that somebody else is writing the books inside my head.
That's weird.
Because I read them, I say, did I really write that?
Yeah.
How did I come up with that idea? It's amazing because it's as if there's somebody else or something else present.
Yeah.
Which is doing the imagination bit for
you. As a child, did you
Very
have
strange.
any?
I don't think, it's not me.
It's not you. That's weird, isn't it? Did you have any aspirations, Richard, as a child to write?
No,
No,
none at all.
no.
No, it
It's
happened
just,
when I was, no, from the moment that the famous Rosaria,
yeah,
the
yeah,
first book, said, "Why don't you write thrillers instead?" She was very cross about it, because of this autobiography that I'd done. And it all started from that. So I was 69 before I really thought maybe I should write a novel.
yeah.
And
Well,
the
I mean,
first one, the
everyone
second one,
in people who don't know of Abruzzo, you're putting that on the map for them, which is
yes,
really great.
yes,
You know, that's just so lovely to see that people think, well, I want to go to Abruzzo and see where these books are set. So, you know, we have to thank you for that. And also just to thank you for writing these wonderful books, you know, and may you continue to do so,
I
because
will.
you have a lot of followers out there, Richard.
Poor old Beppe Stancato, you read the Vendetta Tree, haven't you?
No, I haven't read that one
Oh,
yet.
you
No,
haven't read it
no, I'm
yet.
going to do that one. Yeah. I'm
Well,
gonna,
I won't bore
that's
the
on
endless by saying it.
2023 list. No, I haven't done that one yet.
No,
No,
he's right at the on the last page, he's faced with this dilemma.
yeah,
He has to make a choice.
okay.
And I left it at that.
Right.
So
Ooh.
I lead into another novel.
It
I
wouldn't it
won't
be
tell you because that
wouldn't
would give
it
it away.
well, wouldn't it be absolutely lovely to see in a TV series as well, wouldn't it,
So
really?
many people, really, so many people have said,
Yeah.
why don't you get it as a TV play or whatever,
Yeah, I know.
or a film? And I say, yeah, fine, but how on earth do I said about that? I'm only me.
Yeah, it's not really an area that I know much about, and I think it's just a question of, if I, from I gather, talking to authors, if you have a good publisher and a big
Exactly.
publisher, they have a lot of
Yeah,
connections with
exactly.
TV and
Which is
films,
the
and
one
the
main
rights are
reason.
picked up, and
That's right.
you know,
That's the one main reason why I think I should try to find a
yeah,
publisher,
a publisher, yeah.
because it would lead to that, which would then probably bring financial success as well,
Wow.
which
That would be
well,
good, Richard, wouldn't it? That would be
it
good.
means I can actually buy a whole house in Italy
Yeah,
without selling my flat here. So
yeah,
that
I
would make
know,
me a very happy man in the
I know.
40 years of my life. So.
Well, listen, I'll let you go now because it's Sunday and I'm sure you've got lots of things to be getting on with. So I just wanted to thank you so much for having another chat with me. And maybe in a couple of books, we'll have another chat and see where you are with it. But, you know, long live Beppe Stancato.
Oh, yeah.
Stancato. And
He's
much.
based on a real person, by the way. I should
Oh, right.
add.
Okay.
Yes. He's actually called Beppe, but he
Beppe.
lives in Turin.
Yeah.
And I've used his personality and his appearance in my head to create Beppe Stancato. So he's a real person.
It's really nice to have a policeman, and I think a lot of people identify not just from Montalbano, but even with when David Jason used to do his series, or Morse, or, you know, people really like a policeman, an old-fashioned policeman who devotes he's so passionate about solving murders and getting crime off the streets and getting the bad guys. You know, there are so many things that people can identify with that, and you pull it all in your books. You have it all in there. You really do.
So, yes, I agree.
Anyway, lots of
Anyway,
love, and I hopefully see you in Abruzzo in 2023.
yes, I will do my utmost to make it a priority this time.
Wonderful.
A lot of
Wonderful.
other things got in the way this year, unfortunately.
Take care, Richard. Have a great Sunday.
And I thank you yet again for your interest. And that is my son ringing.
That's a good place to stop. Bye, Richard. Ciao.
Bye.